On lap 115 of Sunday's Jack Links 500 at Talladega Superspeedway, Ross Chastain bumped Bubba Wallace at the end of the back straightaway. Wallace's car went sideways. 26 cars were collected in what followed. Ryan Blaney, done. Joey Logano, done. Kyle Larson, done. William Byron, done. Denny Hamlin, done. Brad Keselowski, done. Tyler Reddick, hit damaged, fighting to survive. In one moment on one lap, the race was effectively decided. Not by racing, by geometry. The 4 cars that escaped cleanly from the front of that crash, the 4 that simply happened to be in the right lane at the right second, went on to contest the finish. Carson Hocevar won. Chris Buescher was second. Alex Bowman third. Chase Elliott fourth. And the question that nobody in the garage wants to answer plainly is the one we are going to answer today. Is Talladega even a race anymore? Or is it a lottery with a steering wheel? Every fact in this video is verified. Source links in the description. Subscribe and let's get into it. First, let's put Sunday's crash in context, because the numbers matter. 26 cars collected in a single incident. Out of a 40-car field, that is 65% of the race eliminated in one lap. The crash nearly matched the all-time Talladega record. 28 cars collected in the fall 2024 Yellowwood 500. If further damage assessments had added more cars, Sunday's crash would have been the largest in Talladega history. The red flag came out on lap 116. A 10-minute stoppage to clear debris. Drivers climbed out of damaged cars. Championship contenders walked to the infield care center. And when racing resumed, the field that remained was not the field that had qualified, practiced, and strategized for 188 laps of racing. It was the survivors. Joey Logano, 3-time Cup Series champion, 3-time Talladega winner, was direct about what happened. He said, "We have round bumpers on these things and the cars are unstable. Once everyone starts pushing and racing aggressive, it's going to happen. Until we fix that stuff, we're going to continue seeing it." That is a 3-time Talladega winner telling you, in plain language, that the problem is structural. Not a one-race anomaly. Not bad luck. Structural. Ryan Blaney, the defending Talladega Spring Race winner, was even more specific. He said, "We're either fuel-saving or running all over each other. There's no bubble. You're just ramming through the guy in front of you. You have to be very precise, and it's hard to do." Ride that again. The defending Spring Talladega winner is saying the racing at this track offers 2 options: artificial slowdowns or catastrophic crashes. There is no middle ground. Now here is where it gets more complicated and more honest. NASCAR came into Talladega this weekend with a specific fix in place. The stage lengths had been flipped. 98 laps in Stage 1, 45 laps in Stage 2, 45 laps in Stage 3, specifically to prevent the fuel-saving trains that made the 2026 Daytona 500 a procession. The logic was sound. Shorter final stages meant teams would race flat out. No conservation, no slowing the field. And Stage 1, all 98 laps of it, actually worked. Ryan Preece won Stage 1 with Fords filling 8 of the top 10 positions. Real racing. Legitimate competition. Then Stage 2 started. The crash happened on lap 115, the 17th lap of Stage 2. 17 laps into the first flat-out sprint segment, the entire field destroyed itself. The stage flip fixed the fuel saving. It did not fix the underlying problem, that 40 cars traveling at 200 miles per hour in 3 wide packs, with round bumpers and unstable aerodynamics, are one bad push away from eliminating 2/3 of the field at any moment. Logano made the diagnosis perfectly. You get 2 basketballs against each other, it's not going to push straight. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Carson Hocevar, the race winner, was also in that crash. His number 77 Spire Motorsports Chevrolet was collected on lap 115. His team repaired it during the red flag. He came back. And then, in the chaos of the final overtime restart, he outdrove Chris Buescher by 0.114 seconds to win his first career Cup Series race in his 91st start. That is an extraordinary human story. It is also evidence of exactly how random Talladega outcomes have become. The race winner was collected in the race-defining crash and still won. Because at Talladega in 2026, the crash does not determine who loses. It determines who has the best repair crew and the most composure when the field gets reshuffled. Gibbs, who finished 32nd, put it plainly after the race. Talladega is kind of a roulette table some days. A roulette table. That is how an active NASCAR Cup Series driver describes the track that NASCAR calls one of its crown jewels. And the viewership numbers back up the concern without fully resolving it. Sunday's race drew 3.9 million viewers, strong for the sport in 2026, but a slight dip from the 2025 Spring Talladega race. The chaos drives ratings. The finish was genuinely dramatic. But the legitimate championship contenders, Larson, Blaney, Logano, Byron, Hamlin, all had their race ended by a single push at turn 3 that they had no ability to avoid or anticipate. So what does this mean going forward? For NASCAR, Blaney's quote is the diagnosis they cannot ignore. Stage flips helped the fuel-saving problem. They did not help the instability problem. The next logical step, a mandatory 4-tire change rule at superspeedways, which was reportedly under consideration for 2027, now has more urgency than ever. Logano, Blaney, and Gibbs all pointed at the car package itself as the root cause. When 3 different teams and 3 different drivers all say the same thing, the sport has to listen. For Kyle Larson, 26 cars in one crash and his winless streak extends to 34 races. He said he was not surprised to be collected. Not surprised. A 2-time Cup Series champion is treating Talladega wreck involvement as a baseline expectation. That tells you everything about where his headspace is right now. For Carson Hocevar, the 23-year-old from Michigan just won at Talladega in his 91st Cup start, driving for Spire Motorsports, a team without a full-time charter. He sat on the window ledge of his number 77 Chevrolet and drove the entire front straight helmet off in front of 80,000 fans. It was genuinely one of the great celebration moments the sport has produced in years. His talent is real, his future is real, and he proved Sunday that Talladega does not care who you drive for. Here is the question for the comments, and I want a real answer. Does Talladega still a legitimate race? Or has the combination of the current car package, pack racing physics, and super speedway aerodynamics turned it into something that is entertaining but fundamentally not about racing skill anymore? Logano says the car can't race itself without wrecking. Blaney says there is no middle ground between fuel saving and crashing. Gibbs calls it a roulette table. Are they right? And if they are, what does NASCAR do about it? Drop your answer below. Subscribe if this gave you something the recap shows didn't. Source links for every fact are in the description. To 26 cars, 1 lap, 1 push, the sport's most iconic track, and its biggest unsolved problem.